Yes. So I was kidding with James that there is something about you have to have long hair in order to be part of that group in order to be able to sing. So it's not going to work. So I gave that up a long time ago. But anyway, I'd like to start first of all with our land acknowledgement. So welcome to tonight's meeting. This is indeed a special treat for us on being able to not only be able to have a fundraiser, but also to be able to listen to some very exceptional musical talent. So welcome everybody tonight, and welcome those that have not attended previously the Lakefield District Historical Society. So I'm glad that you could make it tonight as well. We respectfully acknowledge that the former village of Lakefield, now part of the township of Selwyn, is situated on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory within the traditional territories of the Mississauga and the Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. Lakefield District Historical Society respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaties First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. It is indeed my pleasure to be able to introduce James Gordon tonight. And I've always found it interesting that when you start to talk to people, you actually find out that there's 6 degrees of separation. So when I was reading James' biography and being able to do just a bit of research, our pathways never crossed, but the people that we knew had some pathways. Because Michael, James, not only being a very gifted musician, has also been politically active, both running for provincial parliament a couple of times, but also serving as a Guelph councillor as well. So that, and the individual that unfortunately that he ran against and wasn't successful was an individual that I had to sit across the table from when I was a school board trustee for about 4 years. So yes, so we probably have the same sort of opinions, James, but for different reasons. But James is indeed a very gifted musician. He has a long history of being able to create music, and this is what certainly his success of being able to do so. He has music to be able to offer us at the back. Plus, he's also a gifted humorist as well, and he's got a couple of books at the back as well. That he's also a good storyteller. So maybe him and Mike are also related somehow. But certainly, he's also active in his community, being able to be part of the Guelph. I've got to make sure that I get this correct. The Hillside Festival was his first creative director, and continues to be able to contribute back to his community. And he's going to Waterloo tomorrow. He was sharing with me going to back home to Guelph. He lives in Guelph, going to Waterloo to be able to contribute there as well. So you didn't come to hear me just to be able to kind of wax lyrically, but I want to be able to welcome James tonight. This is indeed a rare treat. So we appreciate you making the trek,
Thanks so much.
and appreciate you coming out tonight. So.
All right. Okay. Great to be here. I've been made to feel at home rather quickly here. I'm going to just sing you a song, and then I'll explain what on earth I'm doing here. It's from not terribly far from here. This is from Tweed, Ontario, called Down the Old Tweed Road. Well, I didn't like the miner's life. I've been acting all night. No way to live a living, no way to die a death. One night I stole my father's pistol and his swayback man with a fare thee well. I was out of there, down the old Tweed Road, down the old Tweed Road. Well, riding up beneath the moon, I felt so bold and free, and I really cannot say what came over me. When I saw the midnight stagecoach, I raised that pistol high. I said, stand and deliver, a highwayman of mine, down the old Tweed Road, down the old Tweed Road. I cried, ladies and gentlemen, if I may be so bold, I would have your jewelry, your silver and your gold. If you will allow me now to lighten up your load, I will leave you with your life along the old Tweed Road, down the old Tweed Road, down the old Tweed Road. Well, I called up to the driver to throw a strong box down. Just then an old mare bolted and she threw me to the ground. As I fell into the ditch, I heard my pistol going off, and I looked up to see that driver drop down the old Tweed Road, down the old Tweed Road. Well, that driver, he got up and he flew at me with his fist. He said, young man, you're gonna pay for this. Though he was heading, covered all in blood, he grabbed a hold of me and he threw me in the coach and drove me into Tweed, down the old Tweed Road, down the old Tweed Road. Well, next morning I was brought before the magistrate. The driver calls, there stands the man who shot me in the face. He said, I believe I have proof enough, and I'll be damned if he didn't cough that bullet up. Down the old Tweed Road, down the old Tweed Road. Now you bold young dreamers, take a warning from me. Never take up highway robbery. That's no way to live a living, no way to die a death. In this tiny Tweed jail, I'll draw my final breath. Down the old Tweed Road, down the old Tweed Road. Thank you. So, from, I think, here, I actually wrote it down because 1993 to 2003, I was one of the luckiest songwriters in Canada. And I actually had, it lasted long, I had 2 CBC radio programs that I was songwriter in residence for. One was called Basic Black, Arthur Black's show. Did anyone remember that? And on Saturday mornings, you'd hear me singing a rather silly song each week based on one of the interviews or features he'd done from the previous week. And for a show that's still going called Ontario Morning, I had a feature called Hometown Tunes for 10 years. And I've told my friend Anne here, who helped with one of the songs, very delighted to see her here tonight, that just recently I kept a banker's box of all the letters that had been written to me in those 10 years. And beautiful letters, often handwritten in those days. The idea behind the show then was that people would write into the station with an idea from their hometown that they thought needed to have a song. And as a songwriter, I'm thrilled to think that a song is actually needed. And I got these letters from all over province. The show went all around the province except Metropolitan Toronto. They have Metro Morning, right? So it's sort of this little horseshoe. And that first song was one of the early letters, and relating to the organization that has kindly engaged my services this evening. Often historical societies would get in on the action because they had great stories that they wanted to share. And so a lot of these songs, I live in Guelph, I would take the letters, write a song for it, and I would drive in from Guelph to the CBC and perform them usually at 7:30 in the morning. So I'm glad to be here at 7:30 at night. But that particular song I just finished, someone from the Tweed Historical Society sent me a newspaper clipping from October 27th, 1899, which said, one of the boldest and most daring attempts at highway robbery was undertaken Saturday evening about 10 o'clock in Tweed. He went on to attach a copy of the newspaper article. I had a song within hours because there was such great material there. And I think one thing I learned is small town Ontario, people in Toronto go, oh yeah, small town Ontario. There's great tales of action and adventure, including that highway robbery one. So I'm going to actually now do for you the song. I had to pitch the idea of doing this series to the CBC. So I wrote them a sample song. And the producer of the show then was Sandy Mowat, who was actually Farley Mowat's son. And the host was Joe Cote. Some of you might remember his name. So I thought I'd just scan the newspapers for interesting stories and test it out. So this is the song that got me the gig. I was reading in the Mount Forest, Ontario newspaper, I saw a clipping about a gentleman named Art White, who in Mount Forest, they just called him, he's that weird guy at the edge of town that lives in a hole in the ground. And every town seems to have that local character too. I changed his name. Now I already told you what his name was, but I changed his name to Harry because I needed a good name for, he's called Harry in the Hole. And this is not that uncommon a story too, so. Oh, but it's uncommon that I don't have my cable. All right. Oops. Everything's breaking already. It must be there. Okay. We won't worry about that. Here's Harry though. They call him. There it is. Called him Harry in the Hole. See him walk out in the cold with a sack upon his back in the winter time. He looks scary, he looks old, and for Harry in the Hole, that really was his only crime. You can't talk to Harry in the Hole. He just stares and shrugs his shoulders and shuffles silently along his way. Sometimes with terror in his eyes, see him scan the northern skies for an enemy that stalked him all his days. Round here stories are still told how old Harry in the Hole was a fighter pilot back in the war. They say his plane went down in flames. Harry never was the same after he returned in 1944. They say that Harry had survived deep behind the German line by hiding in a hole beneath the wreckage of his plane. Now he lives out at the edge of town in a hole he dug into the ground, waiting for a foe he knows will someday come again. He did not fit into their mold. Folks thought Harry in the Hole was a stain upon the good name of this town. And when his capture finally came, was not soldiers but his neighbors who took him from the safety he had found. For it seems that Harry's enemies were real, they were you and me, though he had eluded us for years. Now he's in the hospital, a hell that's more acceptable, a prisoner of all of our fears. They They call him Henry in the hole. See him walk out in the cold with a sack upon his back in the wintertime. Thank you. Yeah, so that was the very first one. And I'll start to just move through some of the variety that I got. And I have my cheat sheets for most of them because these songs haven't been performed in 30 years. I often just got performed once. But it's been really fun as I start to tour these around to different museums, libraries, Legion halls. I'll change the evening's repertoire each time to suit the district that I'm in. So I did one in Woodstock a little while ago, and there's lots of songs from around there too. Anyway, this song came from Cornwall. I'm going to be back in Cornwall in the summer doing this, and there was, with the Cornwall Historical Society, there was a real fan that just kept sending me letters all the time. Oh, you got to write about this, write that. He wrote so many that his name was Stuart Manson, and his girlfriend at the time wrote me a letter saying, well, I think you should write a song about Stuart because he's a history maniac, which I did. So he got on the show. His show was called Stuart Manson, Fairly Interesting Person, Reasonably Nice Guy. But he sent me, I'm going to present two stories that he sent me because they were, I just thought, very strong stories. And I'm all about stories. So this comes from, there's a gentleman who became known as Caribou Cameron from Cornwall. And he earned that name because in the 1860s he went out to the Caribou Gold Rush. And he decided to bring his wife, Sophia, with him. And not long after they arrived, and it took months to arrive, there was before the railroad, his wife got very ill, and on her deathbed, she made him promise that he would return her to Cornwall. And that was a huge deal. What he did was took her to the coast, put her on a steamship down to Panama, before the Panama Canal, so they went across the jungle, back up, and they got on the Atlantic Ocean, got a train up to Cornwall, and put her there. So here's the story, and I'll tell you after there's various legends about what was actually going on here. Well, oh my Sophia. Oh, by the way, can everybody hear okay? And everything's good? Thumbs up. Oh my Sophia, when we first came to the Caribou country, I promised you that someday we'd return to our Cornwall home somehow. And when fate and typhoid fever took you from me, I swore on your coffin that I would keep that vow. Oh my Sophia, my lust for gold first brought us to this lonely place. I was deaf to your cries, too blind to notice how you got so thin. Looking for that shining ore, I didn't see the smile leave your pretty face. Till I laid you out in that plain pine box lined with tin. Oh, forgive me, but I left you in that coffin, in that cabin up by Williams Creek, while I worked that mine through the cruel December cold. My grief spurred me on, and I dug like a demon 8 long weeks, till the joyless day I found that vein of gold. Oh my Sophia, I laid 50 pounds of gold upon your coffin. I pulled you 400 miles down the Caribou Trail from that mine. To the ice and snow I thought about my promise to you often, but not as often as I thought about the gold I knew that I had left behind. Oh my Sophia, though I know know that you did not deserve it. I had to leave you for a little while with an undertaker on the coast. But I filled your coffin up with 30 gallons of whiskey to preserve it. And I returned to find the treasure that haunted me more than your ghost. And I came back from the gold fields with more money than you ever could have dreamed of. 8 strong horses carried it from the wilderness. And with a funeral procession as fine as you ever would see, love, I put you in that gold upon a steamer bound for home and your last rest. Oh, my Sophia, we headed south to Panama City. We crossed the jungle, sailed the rough Atlantic to New York and caught the train. And at the Cornwall station, your flower-covered casket looked so pretty. After 8,000 miles, you were finally home again. Oh, my Sophia, I got a mansion made with marble straight from Florence. I've got a gold-trimmed carriage, and I've taken a new young wife. They say that I am the richest man in the St. Lawrence. Those riches are all worthless, for I know that they had cost you your sweet life. Oh, my Sophia, when we first came to the Caribou Mountains, I promised you that someday we'd return to our Cornwall home. Somehow, both you and my taste for life have been taken from me. I have nothing but the knowledge that I have kept my vow. Thank you. So the rumors. First of all, I was playing just a few months ago in Victoria, British Columbia, and I sang this song, and people were looking strange in the audience. They said, "Come out the back." In the back of the building was an old cemetery where they had kept her just for those few months while he went off and got more gold, and then they dug her up and sent her on her way. But the rumor is it was a closed coffin by the time they got to Cornwall. And it was true that it was filled with 30 gallons of whiskey, but some thought maybe she wasn't in there. He was just smuggling whiskey. And others said that the coffin seemed rather heavy, and maybe that's where he stashed his gold.
Yeah.
So we'll never know. Yeah? So I'll do the other song, another song from the same contributor. Another one from the Cornwall area. And this one, I used to play in a band called Tamarack. And this ended up on the title of a Tamarack album, because I've always been fascinated with the fur trade and that whole the lore that goes along with it. But this is a story about a fur trader named John MacDonald of Garth from the Northwest Company. And he built himself a beautiful home that still stands. It's a bit derelict right now, called Inverarden. They had tried to make it a museum, actually, but you know, cutbacks. But apparently he'd spent his life out in the wilderness in a canoe, and he kept getting pretty restless and bored sitting in his house in Cornwall. That's where this song comes from. Another capo one, James. Well, I came here to in Berardin. When my fur trade days were done, now I entertain. I tend my garden, play the country gentleman. I believe my heart and I have parted. Lifted way upriver somewhere. When I die, I'm leaving in Berardin. See if I don't go back there to the great Northwest. I'm going there. Maybe it was only beaver pelts we were looking for, but it always felt like I was alive. Well, now I sit here on this farm with a restless soul and a withered arm. Soft life is much harder to survive. Well, I've run with the caribou, I've been across the Great Divide. All I needed was a good canoe, my old gun and a buffalo hide. Well, I'm the last Nor'wester, I am told, when they's home to nor grow old. Where do we go? I looked a bear right in the eye. I did not flinch, I did not die, but now the East is killing me, you know. I got some cronies down in Montreal. I visit them, but I get bored. At night I hear the eagles calling me back to the wilds once more. I believe my heart and I have parted, left away upriver somewhere. When I die, I'm leaving in Berardin. See if I don't go back there to the great Northwest. I'm going there. Right. Now this one is from St. Thomas, and you probably could guess the biggest historical thing to ever happen to St. Thomas. Does anyone know? Yeah. Jumbo the elephant. Very good. He was hit by a train. Switch guitars, James. So, as I mentioned, I kept this box of all the letters. I couldn't find this letter, but the song is one of the ones that every now and then I pull out of my repertoire because it was, I thought, such an interesting story. And it was sent to me from Steve Peters, who was the mayor of St. Thomas at the time. And he was, in fact, Canada's youngest mayor at the time. And he's still a city councillor there now, but he also did a stretch as an MPP and was, in fact, the Speaker of the House, Ontario. And he invited me to his office at Queen's Park, and his office was totally covered with Jumbo the Elephant memorabilia. And somewhere I have a plaque, too, that for writing this song, I became an honorary citizen of St. Thomas. But the story, maybe the story of Jumbo was that he was bought from a London zoo by P.T. Barnum and toured him all over by train with the circus. And he'd been doing this a long time. I empathized with him because he apparently got pretty tired of the road. So the rumors about the accident that he had, there's just like that Sophia song, there's always rumors that go around. Some people think that the accident was on purpose because P.T. Barnum was tired of how ornery the elephant had become and realized he could make just as much money touring a stuffed elephant as a real elephant. The other rumor was that perhaps Jumbo had had enough himself, so he was committed elephanticide. Well, Jumbo and Tom Thumb, they were the best of elephant chums. They used to hang out together after the show, telling old elephant jokes, smoking their elephant smokes, sharing memories of long, long ago. Well, Jumbo used to say to Tom, those good old days are gone. I was the king of England in the London Zoo, living on Chelsea buns and cakes, and my bones didn't ache from riding on this train with you. Oh, some say he was saving his friend Tom Thumb when that train hit Jumbo and he died. Some say that he welcomed that freight train coming as a way to finally take his last ride. Well, since P.T. Barnum bought me, took me home from my home and brought me over here to lead this wandering life, it's been hard on me, on the move constantly, far from Alice, my elegant wife. You know that I get so sick of those big top tricks. I'm starting to hear the jungle drums call. Ah, the way that they worked us here in the circus, Tom, I'm so tired of it all. Well, some say he was saving his friend Tom Thumb when that train hit Jumbo and he died. Some say that he welcomed that freight train coming as a way to finally take his last ride. Well, they heard it a little late, that westbound freight was bearing down upon them awful fast. Jumbo stood his ground, but that engine knocked him down. His traveling days were over at last. Oh, some say he was saving his friend Tom Thumb when that train hit Jumbo and he died. Some say that he welcomed that freight train coming as a way to finally take his last ride. So yeah, again proving these little towns aren't as boring as people think. Moving over to the piano now. This song comes from Forest, Ontario, over towards Grand Bend, the other side of London. And I'll put some at the back at the break during, I've got my merchandise down there too, but I've got the actual letters, and some of the letters were just so sweet and very chatty too. People would send me an idea and then they tell me all about themselves and what they had done too. So here, this is, I'm going to read from the actual letter. When we moved to Forest in 1949, one of our neighbors, a helpful old gent, would help me and my parents unpack. He must have weighed 250 pounds, was smiling most of the time, and was the sort that wore clothes that should have been washed 2 weeks ago. He once owned a farm, but wasn't exactly a whiz on the stock market. Now he resided in an unpainted small habitat that would remind you of a small barn. However, he didn't complain, and he was a very good neighbor. When he worked as a celery harvester, he'd follow the harvest around and pick celery. He found himself every fall, he found that he was out of work. So in those days, most farms used horses, so it was very easy to find a farmer willing to keep a handy horse, but he didn't have anywhere to stay himself. So what he did, he had a trick, and he found that if he committed a minor crime, just long enough to get him in jail for the winter, he'd get 3 meals a day. He was in a warm place, and then in the spring they'd let him out. So apparently the town was in on it, and the police were in on it too. They said, okay, well, and his favorite crime was serving beer to minors. So this is Andy's, the gentleman with that wrote me the letter, even suggested the name of it, which is Andy's Fine Accommodation. Here he goes. Well, Andy found those autumn nights the hardest, 'cause he could feel the winter coming on. He knew that when he finished with the harvest, he'd need to find a place in town before too long. Those cold winds off Lake Huron used to chill him to the bone, cutting celery through Lambton County, Thetford and Darkona, trying to raise a winter's rent. He'd head into forest, hang around a couple weeks, but before the first ice showed up over Hickory Creek, all his wages would be spent. One frosty morning, Andy figured out a plan. Right around the time the first snow fell, the warmest place in forest for a homeless man was at the jailhouse in a cozy little cell. Straight to the constabulary Andy he did go. He said to the sergeant, "There is something you should know. I am about to break the law." He announced that he'd be serving beer to miners that same night, even though he understood the officer had every right to lock him up approximately till spring thaw. Now Andy has his fine accommodation, private room with 3 square meals a day, a nice warm spot for winter hibernation, till planting time in Lambton comes again. There he is. And now I'm gonna do it regionally. Oh, my list of songs wandered off. I'm going to stay down in Lambton County for you. And let's see if we can get this one. This is every story collection needs a war story. And this one was a fairly well-known sort of a marine tragedy in the war. But when I performed it, I was performing at the Lambton County Museum, and the widow of the gentleman in this song was there, and the family, and they all just cried all the way through the song. So, well, there I was, an Ontario farm boy, on a merchant ship trying to catch up to our convoy. It was January, back in 41. We were bound for Russia with American guns in the cold dark night. 5 hours behind, all alone, with the North Atlantic winds, cruel wine as thick as catfish. Those German subs all along that old triangle run, the torpedo hit us. Next thing I knew, the SS Friar Rock was split in two into the lifeboats. The captain cried, 18 hands were lost when the first capsized in the freezing spray. We all grabbed an oar times away from the nearest shore, and I thought about my home in Lambton County, and the little town of Forest I loved so well, and it warmed my heart enough to keep it pounding through 4 days and nights of icy hell. I told them stories to keep away warm golden summers by the pretty lake, tree-lined streets, fields of corn. I stayed alive with the memories of the place I was born when they picked us up. Barely alive, just 6 of us sailors had survived, frozen in place, still at the oars, each of us wondering what this war was for. Now I am back home in Lambton County, and the little town of Forest I love so well. 2 wooden legs and 1 heart still pounding, and an icy tale to tell, and an icy tale to tell. Thank you. Great. Oh, bad planning, James. I'm back to the piano already. I'm going to do one from a little neighborhood that hardly exists anymore, but Hamilton Beach, in between Hamilton and Burlington. And one of the things I was most proud of when I was doing the show, and as I am now reviving them, was keeping the stories alive seemed to mean a lot to people. And when I performed this song that someone sent an idea about Hamilton Beach, a filmmaker got in touch with me and decided to make a whole film about Hamilton Beach, but kind of based around the song. So for a few days he trucked me all over to all the little sites in the neighborhood and had shots of me performing at them and everything. But this was proof to me. It's a waltz. A lot of these songs are so sentimental that they suit waltzes. But even to the outside, when the outside eye looks at a town and says, well, it's kind of run down and what's going on there really, if that's where you were born and raised, it still resonates for you. And that's why I enjoyed putting together this song from the story that was sent. Remember those evenings we danced to the sound of the big bands on the Lido deck at the Brandon, with those strange steel clad lights burning holes in the night. We'd go for an after dark swim. We would walk down along by the canal, watch the big freighters glide through. Brave boys would dive in from the old railway bridge whenever we dared them to. It wasn't the moon, it was the big neon Stelco sign hanging out over the bay. Those weren't the stars, they were headlights from cars shining from the Queen Elizabeth Way. And it wasn't heaven, but we figured then that we couldn't be that far to reach it. Down along the boulevard, back then on Hamilton Beach. Summers back then seemed like they'd never end, and that good life would go on forever. Even when times were hard down on the boulevard, we always made it together. It was progress, they say, when the big dredgers came and took most of our shoreline away. They tore down the hotel and the ballrooms as well, and our beautiful old promenade. It wasn't the moon, it was a big neon Stelco sign hanging out over the bay. Those weren't the stars, they were headlights from cars shining from the Queen Elizabeth Way. And it wasn't heaven, but we figured that we couldn't be that far to reach it. Down along the boulevard, back then on Hamilton Beach. When they built the Skyway and widened the highway, the beach strip was never the same. Cars didn't stop any there more, and the stores mostly closed. There were few left today. But when warm summer breezes blow from Lake Ontario, memories linger a while of the times that we'd meet down on Hamilton Beach, and that memory brings me a smile. It wasn't the moon, it was the big neon Stelco sign hanging out over the bay. Those weren't the stars, they were headlights from cars shining from the Queen Elizabeth Way. And it wasn't heaven, but we figured that it couldn't be that far to reach it. Down along the boulevard, back then on Hamilton Beach. I'm going to go to a little bit north. Some of the letters came from parts that weren't quite in the listening area, so I think that they must have been driving through and heard the show or whatever. But this one, this comes from, let's see the actual title, Deep River. And the writer of the letter was really keen to think there needs to be a song about how hard it was working in the lumber camps around in that area. So, so I enjoyed this story so much that I adapted it. I write musicals too, and this ended up in one of my musicals. But I was drawn. Songwriters, we like a hook. If we hear a line that goes, oh, that's got to be a song. He said to me in the old days, we were trying to make a living, he said, there were many more meal times than meals. Okay, there's a song in there. Well, you tell me you don't think you make enough pay. Try working in the woods for $1 a day. Try going out on those big log drives. You wouldn't complain about your little lives. There were many more meal times than meals. I tell you, you just don't know how hungry feels. Way back then in the valley, times were tough, pal. We had many more meal times than meals. 12 hours straight with your axe and your saw, while mosquitoes and black flies are eating you raw. That's what's that you're saying to me, young lad? Don't try to tell me you got it bad, 'cause there were many more meal times than meals. I tell you right now, you don't know how hungry feels. Down in the valley, times are tough, pal. We had many more meal times than meals. By the river you'd see cork boots hanging from a cross, and you'd know that another log driver was lost. Trying to make ends meet, trying to do his job, in a world where life was worth less than a lot. There were many more meal times than meals. I tell you, you just don't know how hungry feels. Way back then in the valley, times were tough, pal. We had many more meal times than meals. Right. Yeah, and one of the one of the cool things about stories like that, us songwriters, mostly I spent a lot of my time as a songwriter going, well, what will I write about now? And then in those days, lo and behold, a letter would arrive. The song would be half written once I saw what a great story they had been telling. So it's time before we take a break to wander to Lakefield here. I'm going to sing a song out of context. This was not written for the radio show, but it happens to have a Lakefield reference in it. And it's a canoeing song. I got 2 whole albums of canoe songs. Do you feel like singing along at all? Yeah, that was fairly tepid, I should say. You'll catch on. I think this is a good singer along. And I've just the other day, I was hired. I'm excited about this. I'll be singing this song this summer. I was hired as the host, musician, storyteller, and paddler for the Voyageur canoe trip that goes along Lake Superior. This one goes from Michipicoten, where I just played the other day, strangely enough, and over to Denison Falls up the Dog River. So I have to really waterproof my guitar case. And it's 5 days back. I'm pretty excited about it. Here's your part. This canoe runs on water, doesn't need no gasoline. This canoe runs on water, prettiest thing you've ever seen. Made by the Lakefield Canoe Company, out of love and cedar wood. Run your hands along her gunnel and it feels so good. Here's the part. This canoe runs on water, doesn't need no gasoline. This canoe runs on water, prettiest thing you've ever seen. Well, she floats on dreams and wishes. Tonight I'll dream of you. You'll be in the bow, we'll be paddling down into the blue. This canoe runs on water, doesn't need no gasoline. This canoe runs on water, prettiest thing you've ever seen. While there's no one on the river, it's only you and me. This little paddling song carries us along the sweet autumnal bee. This canoe runs on water, doesn't need no gasoline. This canoe runs on water, prettiest thing you've ever seen, except for Lakefield, I suppose. There you go. Thank you. All right, I'm going to finish off this set with the song. I'm just so delighted that Anne here, who actually 30 odd years ago sent me a letter it became this song. So thanks, and for your help with. There was a lot of little details in this that I needed help with. And if we had been in St. John's Church for this, I would have been able to point to some of the history of Catherine Power Trail and Susanna Moody. So I was pretty old before I even knew that those two were sisters, because they were both pioneer writers, but the tenor of the song, thanks to the idea, was that if you read their books, they're writing about the same time period in the same place, but one of them was miserable all the time about the terrible conditions. The other one was, oh, isn't this great? Yeah. So it's called Catherine and Susanna. So thanks for this. And after the song, we'll take a short break, and there's feasting and fun to be had there. There's Michael's new book over there, not to compete with my books over there. I have books, and I don't know if you remember, they used to put whole albums on CDs. I have those. But I have a bookmark if you want to just download. It tells you how to do that too. And I have a mailing list, and I'd love you if you got on that. I send a newsletter out once a month that tells you where I am and what I've been up to. So check that out. And as the other Michael mentioned, one of the books there, I have a book of road stories. I have 3 books. One is a song book. So if you get the song book, you can learn my songs and I won't have to go on the road anymore. There's a book of road stories, so be careful, you'll be in the next edition. And there's a novel that I wrote during COVID, because for the first time in 50 years I was off the road. It was a finalist for the Stephen Leacock Humour Award. And that bastard Rick Mercer beat me out. Catherine would walk along paths lined with trilliums, ruin wood, liliums, cedar and pine, maidenhead gentians and Solomon seal, through violet fields to Susanna. Summers through goldenrod oceans they'd ramble, by Catchawanuka Catherine fell free. For Susanna it all was just thorns and brambles, a cheerless life in autonomy. In her dark, lonely cabin, Susanna would wait, resigned to the fate of a poor settler's wife, till her sister would visit with hope and with flowers. For a few hours, those woods felt like home. Summers through goldenrod ocean she'd ramble, by Catchawanuka Catherine felt free. For Susanna it all was just thorns and brambles, cheerless life in autonomy. Well, daisies, hepatica, thimbleweed, asters, sunny days Catherine felt so alive. Jack in the pulpit, bulrushes, lobelia, over the fields to Susanna. Catherine would walk along paths lined with trilliums, ruined wood, liliums, cedar and pine, maidenhead gentians and Solomon seal, through violet fields to Susanna. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Speak amongst yourselves. Okay, that's the call back to your seats. So I just learned, I don't know if you guys, I had the whole other set prepared for you. I was told that they're going to throw us out around 9 o'clock, which is pretty soon. But I think we should have a little uprising. I'll just play until it looks like we really have to go. But I'm going to, so I have to pick. What poor little towns get left out now? But I'm going to go, I can't leave out Peterborough. Here's Peterborough for you. I've actually this is my 51st year in the business. Whenever I'm on tour and you go to somewhere and they say, where are you playing the next night? And if it's a little farther north, and there they always say, oh, well, those are just hillbillies up there. But anyway, this is about a famous strongman from Peterborough named Daniel MacDonald. Yea, awake, beware, here lies the strong, a victim to his strength. He lifted 1,600 pounds, here he lays at length. Daniel MacDonald was his name, from Peterborough town. He had often been acclaimed the strongest man around. 2 axe handles end to end would not span his shoulders. Folks would thrill to see him bending bars and lifting boulders. To prove he was the king of brawn, a contest was announced. A crowd arrived to cheer him on and to see his foes all trounced. When first he lifted half a ton, a roar went through the crowd. When 1,100 pounds was done, they wept while Daniel bowed. When next 1,200 pounds he hoisted, everybody gasped. Daniel sighed as they rejoiced, his side he gently clasped. 1,400 pounds was next, he lifted it with ease, though veins were bursting from his neck and he wobbled at the knees. When he lifted 1,600 pounds, the audience went wild. Then Daniel put the barbells down, he coughed and weakly smiled. Dignitaries rushed to give brave Daniel his big prize. The strongest man who ever lived said thank you, then he died. Apparently that's a true story. Okay, well, we have to do I got a few ghost stories in the collection, so I'm going to do one of them for you now. This one, let's see, get my harmonica. This comes from the town of Sterling, not terribly far from here. And there's an actual, you've probably driven past it. There's a little place just outside Spooks, it's called Spooks Hollow, just outside of Sterling. And this is how it got its name. Around Sterling there's a tale that's handed down. It's told when the campfires burn low, about a place down in Huntington Township. It's a place they tell you not to go, where the pretty Rotten Creek follows through the woods from Little White Lake. There's a dip in the road they call Spooks Hollow. This is why they say it got that name. Well, on warm summer nights like these, there's a strange chilly wind that fills the air, and there's a woman's voice whispering in the breeze. Sometimes in the moonlight you can see her there. She's crying, crying in the shadows for her babies, it's a silent ghostly moan. You can hear her calling towards the shallows, where the creek flows over those cold mossy stones. No one knows what happened to her children. Not a single clue was ever found. Some say in the full moon's madness she had killed them, or else they jumped from the bridge one night and drowned. But if you cross that bridge late in the evening, two small forms will leap onto your car until you leave Spook's Hollow and you can see them dance a ghostly dance out under the sterling stars. There's an owl screeching from a treetop, where the road winds slowly up that ridge. Where the moon shines on the water, you can see a faint form's reflection from the bridge. Don't slow down, or she will beckon to you with the midnight wind in her voice. She will stare a haunting stare right through you and say, where are my angels? Where are my little boys? Ooh. And one of the cool parts of being involved with the show was that I'd sing a song from a letter, then I'd get more letters. This had a lot of letters that people said, yeah, we saw those ghosts. So they're just corroborating. Okay, so let's see. I brought my accordion all the way here, so I better try to play it before they throw me out. Is there no bylaw against accordions here? Is there? Okay. It's just sustained an injury. I don't know if I'm going to do it. Yeah, accordion injury. This comes from Marmara. You're not too far. If I can find it, skipping ahead. I wonder where was it on the list? Oh yeah, should be the next one here. But you know, some of you will know the history of Marmara. It was there because of the iron deposits. This stool is fighting me. There we go. Yeah. So this is about a guy named Hayes who pretty well founded the town, but in those days, the 1820s, it was in the wilderness. He was the wrong religion to have been in favor by the Family Compact, which kind of ran everything in Ontario at the time. So he never got what he wanted in terms of the train bypassed them, the road they never developed so he could bring the ore down to the lake. So it didn't end well for him, but he got a song out of it, eh? I just had to remember how to play the accordion. Well, the Iron Master said, get those fillers to the tunnel head, have the gutter man ready in the casting house tonight. Get that water wheel turning, blast those bellows till the fire burning, and the furnace is a blinding white. Well, the Iron Master Hayes swears that one of these days He's gonna melt that Blairton mountain down. He's gonna make Marmora an iron town. It's a twisted, rutted hell, all the way from here to Belleville. Along that trail, some jokers call the road. And it's far too far to haul those iron bars when an ox cart is the only way to go. In a barge down at the wharf lies 100 tons of ore, but that big chimney's standing dark and cold. Though his iron heart was willing, Hayes could never make a shilling. That molten metal was no pot of gold. And the iron master cried, boys, I tried and I tried, but this cursed country's beating me down. I'll never make Marmora an iron town. Wow, the iron master said, get those fillers to the tunnel head. Have the gunner man ready for the last time tonight. Get that water wheel turning. Blast those bells till the fire burning. In the furnace is the blinding white. There you go. The funny thing about that, when I was preparing this program, because I've never done a concert of these songs before, I thought I'd better do a little more research to find some details. So I looked up Hayes on the internet and the town. What they had on their website was my song. They don't know that I'm a card-carrying artistic license kind of a guy, so sometimes the details have to wedge themselves into a rhyme. Anyway, this one comes from Kingston. I get this one in two, get the tin whistle going. This is they're all true stories. This is about a guy who actually broke in to the Kingston Penitentiary rather than break out of it. He was a sailor, so I thought I'd do a hornpipe at the beginning. Thomas Hardy was a sailor lad, a pleasant sort, but Tommy had a tendency to misinterpret our good country's laws. While in the Kingston pen for larceny, he'd gaze up through the bars and he would dream about the world beyond those sturdy prison walls. But after he had served his time, though he'd sworn off his life of crime, he found that things were tougher from the outside looking in. Times were hard and work was scarce. He sought employment everywhere. Before too long, he started getting noticeably thin. One day, while feeling pensive, he passed by the penitentiary and fortified with Kingston's finest nut brown ale. He looked at that familiar sight and in his head he felt a light go on. He knew the answer to his plight was in that jail. He saw that pen and realized he had its floor plan memorized. He knew just where the warden's clerk kept all the prison's cash. With a stolen ladder and a rope, young Thomas Hardy pinned his hopes upon a plan that most would call considerably rash. His entrance wasn't very hard. He knew just when his former guards would not be at the northeast wall that Hardy chose to scale. Climbed the ladder, grabbed the rope, and down he slid till clever Thomas found that he successfully had broken into his old jail. Now, since Hardy knew his way around, he dodged the watchman on his rounds. He stole a crowbar from the shop and crossed the yard with ease. And then he broke into the office undetected. He made off with pockets lined with silver, and he thought that was a breeze. Hardy then retraced his steps back to his rope. He lunged and left, but halfway up the wall the rope had broke, and down he went. How convenient, Thomas thought, for if now I'm to be caught, I am already in the place I surely will be sent. In the stable underneath some straw he hid, and when the watchman saw the very rope that landed Hardy in his current state, the alarm was sounded, and a clamor soon awoke the sleepy slammer. Evidently, cried the warden, someone has escaped. All the inmates' heads were counted, but the counters all announced that everyone was still inside the penitentiary. Just then they found poor Hardy, and the warden said, that's odd, but there's one more that I'm supposed to have. Tell me, how can that be? He said, you must have missed us, Thomas, to have dropped in like this on us. You can stay a little while longer now, I hope. Now there's a moral to this tale. Next time you break into a jail, be sure to bring along a good strong length of rope. There we go. Now, Michael the First mentioned before we have to get thrown out, if there's any questions anyone wants to ask about the songs, the show, what it's like being a huge international rock star, anything at all.
Where do you live?
Where do I live in Guelph.
Well, you got any stories from there?
I got lots. Yeah. Actually, I don't think I brought it with me, but I have a story about Guelph was the home of Bell Pianos, and it was one of 100 piano manufacturers in Ontario, and the number of piano manufacturers now in Ontario, 0.
Oh, really?
Because every parlor had a piano. Anything else? No, just. So do you really think I need to wrap up? Give it. Oh. Play another one. Yeah, we'll do that. Let's see what I do. Well, I haven't. I have to get the banjo out too. So yeah, it's a shorter program than I thought, but I'm a shorter songwriter than you thought, probably. Thank you so much for listening and for coming out, and to Michael's for helping, and the whole Historical Society bringing me here. Try to get on the mailing list before we have to go. And I do have my books and CDs down there. So, banjo one to end with. Okay. This is from Tobermory. And someone wrote me, a woman named Helen McFarland wrote me a letter, and she said a very cool thing. She said, even if you don't use my ideas, you should come here for a visit. We are a small town working hard to keep in touch with the things that drew us all here, and yet trying to change and improve things so our kids will be prepared to meet the 21st century. And that could be said for this town, for any town. In doing this collection, I discovered there's something that unifies Ontario's small towns. There's a certain spirit that you know to it. So I'm pleased to have been a part of that. So she thought that the coolest thing going on in Tobermory was Ice Breaking Day. And that's what this song's about. How silly, I'm trying to tune a banjo. From Lee's fish dock you can see Rusty and Bud out on the decks of their old fishing tugs, staring out over the big frozen lake, dreaming of boatloads of whitefish and splake. They're dreaming of ice-breaking day. Out in the channel past Flower Pot Island, the boys hear a sound and it sets them to smiling. The Coast Guard's out clearing the spring shipping lanes. It's time to get to it and at it again. Soon it'll be ice-breaking day. Ah, you would be sorry to say Tobermory's a dull place to be. You have obviously not seen the tip of the Bruce. When it's time to break loose, you have not seen an ice-breaking day. Folks come around from as far out of town as Lion's Head, Wyerton, and Owen Sound to Little Tug Harbor to watch that old Jack ramming away at the ice till it cracks. They come to see ice-breaking day. Like two bumper cars, those old tugs reel and they rock as the crowd cheers them on from the terminal dock. Rusty and Bud give it all that they got. There's drip nets to set, there are fish to be caught right after ice-breaking day. Ah, you would be sorry to say Tobermory's a dull place to be. You have obviously not seen the tip of the Bruce. When it's time to cut loose, you have not seen an ice-breaking day. Well, it's mostly the ferry and dive charters now, but years ago this was a real fishing town. The boom times are gone, it's not like it was then, but we'll get the chance to live those days again whenever it's ice-breaking day. Well, you would be sorry to say Tobermory's a dull place to be. You have obviously not seen the tip of the Bruce. When it's time to cut loose, you have not seen it ice-breaking day. Thanks, everybody. See you next time around.
Like I said, very versatile.
Oh, very versatile. You want to have that mic for a second there?
James, on behalf of the Lakefield District Historical Society, I want to thank you for coming out and entertaining us in a way that captures the real history of the province we live in, the people that live here, the events, what's going on behind them, make us all Ontarians. And it's good there's people like you around. And it's a little token of our appreciation.
Nice, thank you so much.
And I think there's still a little time at the back if you want to sell your books.
All right, come back and see me before you get thrown out.
Before you get thrown out. And our next meeting, of course, is May 28th. That's our annual meeting. And the Townsends will be here to talk about Duro and their experiences running the store.
Oh, cool.
So we hope to see you then. I know Maureen, you'll be here, of course. Who else can I talk to but Maureen?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Second round.